Welcome to We Are Faults, the show where we dig into the stories you think you know and find out what's really going on. Today, we're taking on one of the most epic hero stories out there, a tale of defiance, courage, and a showdown for the ages.
You know this scene. You can practically feel the heat, right? It's been painted, sculpted, and put in movies. Lapu-Lapu, the picture of Filipino strength, staring down Ferdinand Magellan in a legendary one-on-one duel.
And look, it's an amazing story. It's the ultimate narrative of a native hero standing up to a foreign invader and winning. It's inspiring, it's clean, and man, is it powerful.
What if I told you that this entire scene, the one that has defined a national hero for hundreds of years, is almost completely made up? Okay, let's get into it.
The hard truth is, that legendary duel is a piece of historical fiction. It's a national myth, created for a reason. The reality, which was written down by the only guy who was actually there to see it, is so much more complicated, and honestly, a way cooler story.
So, to separate the facts from the fiction, we really only have one place to look: the journal of the one European who saw the battle, survived it, and wrote down exactly what happened. Everybody meet Antonio Pigafetta. Think of him as the embedded journalist on Magellan's famous voyage. And his diary? Well, it doesn't describe some noble duel, not at all. It describes a total tactical nightmare for the Europeans, all orchestrated by a brilliant local leader. So, what did Pigafetta actually see on April 27th, 1521? Well, it definitely wasn't a duel, it was an ambush. And it all started with the numbers. This is how many men Magellan brought with him to the beach. Just 49 guys. They were probably feeling pretty confident, with their steel armor and modern weapons. And this is the number of warriors Pigafetta figured was waiting for them. Over 1,500. Do the math. This was never going to be a fair fight. It was a trap from the very beginning. And Magellan just walked right into it, making one arrogant, fatal mistake after another. He told his local allies, nah, you guys just stand back and watch how we do it. He attacked at low tide, meaning his ships and their huge cannons were stuck way too far from shore to be of any help. His men were basically sitting ducks, wading through knee-deep water just to get to the fight. On the other side, the Mactan warriors didn't just run in screaming. No, they had a smart, disciplined plan. They attacked in organized groups, hitting the small European force from the sides. They almost immediately figured out a critical weakness. The Spaniards' armor didn't cover their legs, so they aimed everything they had right there. So you see the huge difference, right? The myth gives us this simple, heroic duel. The reality shows us a tactical masterclass. It was never one man against another. It was a tiny, overconfident force getting systematically taken apart by a much larger, smarter army on its home turf. Pigafetta's own words paint a pretty clear picture of Magellan's end. He was hit in the leg, his men ran, and a group of warriors just swarmed him. There was no duel, he was simply overwhelmed and killed by a lot of fighters working together. But that raises a pretty big question. Why was Magellan even there, picking a fight in the first place? Well, it wasn't really about Spain versus Mactan. It was all about local politics. See, Magellan had made friends with Raja Humabon of Cebu, who, surprise, surprise, was the main rival of Lapu-Lapu. Humabon saw Magellan's powerful weapons and thought, this is perfect. I can use this guy to finally crush my enemy. He talked Magellan into attacking Mactan, and the cocky explorer agreed, wanting to show everybody in the area who was really in charge. He was basically acting as hired muscle in a local dispute and just happened to pick a fight with the wrong guy. So if the history is this clear, why do we all know the story of the duel? Well, the answer is all about the power of myth-making. See, nations need simple, powerful symbols to rally around. And that idea extends to the image of Lapu-Lapu himself. The myth gives us this young, muscular warrior fighting on the front lines. But historians estimate that Lapu-Lapu was probably around 70 years old at the time. A 70-year-old. His role wouldn't have been to fight. His job was to be the brilliant commander, directing the whole battle from behind the lines. This whole heroic image is a perfect example of what's called fake lore. It's an invented story told over and over for centuries through art and movies and festivals, because the image of a single warrior beating a colonizer is just a much simpler and, let's be honest, more cinematic symbol of resistance. So, where does all this leave us today? Well, questioning this myth isn't about tearing down a hero, not at all. It's actually a sign of a really healthy and mature relationship with history. And this is happening right now. You can go online and find Filipinos debating the history, sharing actual pages from Pigafetta's journal. Even the government is getting involved. The National Historical Commission is pushing for new monuments that show a collective victory with multiple warriors to more accurately show what really happened.
And this is maybe the most important thing to get. Debunking the myth of the duel doesn't make Lapu-Lapu any less of a hero. If anything, it elevates him. It makes him and his people even more impressive.
We're trading a simple, almost cartoonish story of a one-on-one fight for a real-world example of brilliant military strategy, incredible leadership, and powerful collective action. The victory at Mactan wasn't some lucky break in a fistfight. It was a tactical masterpiece.
So that leaves us with one last thought. What's actually more heroic? A fictional strongman winning a brawl? Or a brilliant elderly leader who outthinks and outmaneuvers a technologically superior enemy, leading his people to a decisive victory that would be remembered for centuries? I think the truth is a much better story.